Namaste. So we're on the multitude of perspectives, 9 different perspectives of the High Priestess. Number 2. Okay. So the first book we've got is the Radiant by Raider White perspective. So the Radiant is the Raider White. There's lots of different ones. Radiant, Giant, Mini, Future, Past, Visionary. So, yeah. So this is laid out in a really nice way. So for anyone that's kind of dyslexic or learns from a visual perspective, then this is a great book for that. The High Priestess, Deja Vu, Intuition, Hunches. Oh my! The High Priestess rules the realm of psychic perception. When she shows up in our readings, it's time to tune into intuition and imagination. The High Priestess challenges us to solve problems unconventionally through our 6th sense. The High Priestess also encourages us to feel our emotions more fully. She asks us to open the floodgates of perception and gain new, otherworldly perspectives. Oh, it's very fitting, isn't it? We do like that. That's why it's taken us a while to get on to number 2, isn't it? Yes, we've not been ready for it, but we are now. When contemplating the meaning of the High Priestess, ask yourself, am I acting upon or ignoring my intuition? Am I emotionally connected? How can I get more comfortable with the unknown? Do I need to be more patient? Upright, time, psyche, shadow, emotion, balance, fertility, perception. Reverse, loss, mistrust, impatience, stagnation. The High Priestess says, let go. Put your inner control freak to rest. Sometimes the best action is inaction. Remember, life is a perfect mystery, and it is unfolding in perfect ways. As babies, we are born with super keen powers of perception. Trust in these powers. They are still within you. Meaning in a reading, upright, core meaning. The High Priestess is all about piercing the darkness and being okay with the unknown. We can pick up a lot of clues for solving life's mysteries by trusting our feelings and intuition. The High Priestess reminds us that all good things come in their own time. And in a quick reading, the meanings for love. There may be something unspoken between you and your partner that is preventing fruitful companionship. Have an open, honest discussion with your loved one. Money. Reevaluate your income and assets. You've been overlooking something that you can take advantage of now. Career. Trust your instinct at work. If you sense something or someone is holding you from progress, you might be right. It's important to be patient and calm in moments of stress. Family. If you've been thinking about starting a family, This card is a positive sign. This card also encourages balance within the home and letting conflicts take their course. Reverse core meaning. You're forcing an issue that isn't ready to be revealed. Traditional solutions will not work on the problem you're experiencing. Stop letting small-minded action hold you back from innovative ways of living life. Quick read meanings. Love. You're torn between two lovers. This could mean toggling between two partners, or maybe struggling between work vs your mate. Let your emotions lead you to the right choice between two compelling forces. Money. Something of value is missing or has been taken. This may be due to a lack of safeguards. Get legal advice and draw up contracts to protect your assets. Career. Your employer is flushing out some of the waste within the organisation. If you are part of this clear out, look at it as an opportunity. A loss means gaining in another area of your professional life. Family. There is an impasse in your home. Take the emotional high road and let bygones be bygones. This card is also an invitation to research your genealogy, your genes, we believe, I think that is. And then the second one, Tarot for Beginners. We couldn't find the Fool in this one, I don't think. So let's see if, no, I think it was the other one we couldn't find the Fool. Yeah, the Fool's in this one. This one's just quick and simple. There we go. Not too overwhelming, just one page. The High Priestess. The High Priestess signifies wisdom, femininity, intuition, the past, secrets, and spirituality. As the second character of the major arcana, she is the mediator of imagination and assimilation, because I suppose the Fool is the one that's taking the journey through all these archetypal energies, characters. So the Magician's the first one, and this is the second, and we're not doing it in order because we go 4, 2, 1, 3. And we've counted the Fool as a 4 rather than 0, because 0 is the circle within the square, and the square's got 4 sides, and this Fool is the beginning and the end. So if it's the end of the major arcana, it's number 22, and 22 equals 4. So that's why we're doing it this way round, and we're doing it in this order because, well, we're not linear, and this is what works for us on our understanding and our integration of the information and the knowledge, embodying it and turning it to wisdom, just in case you're curious. As the second character of the major arcana, she is the mediator of imagination and assimilation, and her association with the moon suggests mystery and intuition. This card often appears when changes are taking place on the inner planes that will be released into outer reality at the appropriate time. Although we may be at the early stages of a spiritual journey, none of us is really a truly blank slate. We bring memories of the past and emotional associations to every act and every experience. This card acknowledges the inner forces at work in our responses to external circumstances. When the High Priestess is upright, the card can represent mystery, the subconscious, and even higher powers of the mind. Your intuition is growing stronger, and you're encouraged to trust your instincts. You may be keeping emotions and/or secrets closely hidden at the present moment until you know it is safe to reveal them. Reversed, this card can point to hidden agendas on the part of others, or even hidden from yourself in your own subconscious. Either way, be careful about whom you entrust with emotional truths at this time. Got our bio-cider vinegar, organic raw honey, and diatomaceous earth. This is the one that didn't have the Fool, or we couldn't find the Fool. The Fool's probably in the Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to read that at another point because it is interesting. Actually, no, we'll read that now because it is interesting. And I think it did have the Fool in. No, we won't, because there's actually quite a bit of information there. The Tarot and the Secret Tradition, so we might do that on another time when we actually read the book out. 2, this is the pictorial key to the tarot. It's not quite what we thought it would be, but then nothing normally is. It's been very different on our way of thinking and processing. The High Priestess, number 2. She has the lunar crescent at her feet, a horned diadem on her head, with a globe in the middle place, and a large solar cross on her breast. The scroll in her hands is inscribed with the word Torah, signifying the greater law, the secret law, and the second sense of the word. It is partly covered by her mantle to shew that some things are implied and some spoken. She is seated between the white and black pillars, J and B, of the mystic temple, and the veil of the temple is behind her. It is embroidered with palms and pomegranates. The vestments are flowing and gauzy, and the mantle suggests light, a shimmering radiance. She has been called occult science on the threshold of the sanctuary of Isis, but she is really the secret church, the house which is of God and man. She represents also the second marriage of the prince, who is no longer of this world. She is the spiritual bride and mother. She is the spiritual bride and mother, the daughter of the stars, and this Zanoni's the child of the stars, or the son of the stars, but it didn't say daughter. But if it's a child of the stars, I suppose it means son too, and that's our new name. Yeah, well done. The daughter of the stars and the higher garden of Eden. She is, in fine, the queen of the borrowed light, but this is the light of all. She is the moon nourished by the milk of the supernal mother. In a manner, she is also the supernal mother herself. That is to say, she is the bright reflection. It is in this sense of reflection that her truest and highest name in Bollism, Sikh, is Shekinah. Sorry if that's not pronounced correctly. The cohabiting glory. According to Kabbalism, there is a Shekinah both above and below. In the superior world it is called Binah, the supernal understanding which reflects to the emanations that are beneath. In the lower world it is Malkuth, that world being for this purpose understood as a blessed kingdom, that with which it is made blessed being the indwelling glory. Mystically speaking, the Shekinah is the spiritual bride of the just man, and when he reads the law she gives the divine meaning. There are some respects in which this card is the highest and holiest of the greater arcana. So that's the Rider Waite descriptions and perspectives, the traditional. We're now going on to the Witch's Tarot Companion perspective. Oops. I don't know where these glitters come from as such. That might help it a bit. I've turned the brightness down. So there's similarities. I like the way the wording of this book. It's kind of really simple, not too much, but kind of in depth. The High Priestess before you is powerful, mystical, wise, and compelling. She is serious, kind, just, and compassionate. This is the maiden aspect of the goddess, and her wisdom is all-encompassing. That's interesting, because one of the ones later on they do call the maiden, so that's a connection there made. The High Priestess wears an ethereal silver gown and royal blue hooded cape as she sits in contemplation upon her throne, her feline familiar sitting calmly at her side. The blue sky and nature are her backdrop, and the moon and the stars of the cosmos are at her feet. Pomegranates grow lushly around her, and she is stationed evenly between the two lunar pillars. The High Priestess is calm and in control of the occult powers she wields. She does not lean towards the waxing energies or towards the waning energies of the moon, as she is not inclined to the light or the dark. The High Priestess is centered and neutral. Our aim! Yes, that is our aim, isn't it? We sit on the fence, don't we? The High Priestess wears a triple goddess crown and a necklace of amber and jet stones to denote her rank. Why? Okay, you want to share why? Yeah, we don't sit on the fence because lack of opinion or anything like that. Ears going funny. We sit on the fence because there's lots of us and we have contradicting belief systems, and so we can see a majority of sides on both sides. Yeah, that's why it's all open perspective, isn't it? Yeah, well done. The High Priestess wears a triple goddess crown and a necklace of amber and jet stones to denote her rank. Amber increases mental power, and jet enhances psychic abilities, both important qualities for the High Priestess. In her hands, she holds a scroll for knowledge and blooming sage, which represents wisdom. The pomegranates are sacred to the goddess Persephone, and they signify royalty and elegance. The young black cat, the classic witch's familiar, represents the feminine mysteries of the craft. When this card appears in a reading, it often marks a time of initiation and learning. The maiden goddess is challenging you. Be wise and listen to her words of wisdom. This card is a reminder to quietly and calmly seek occult knowledge and look within. Use your intuition and trust your instincts. This is not the time to let your emotions rule you. Instead, it is an opportunity for growth and a chance to gain real insight and understanding. The High Priestess teaches you to be strong, wise, and steady. She quietly shows you that in order to attain real wisdom, you must remember to always work your magic thoughtfully and from a place of neutrality. Key words: the maiden aspect of the goddess, neutrality, initiation, wisdom, inner knowledge, intuition, lunar energy and magic, waxing moon magic, the feminine mysteries of the craft. Deity associations: Artemis, Diana, Persephone, the maiden goddess. Astrological association: moon. Reversed: being out of balance, repressed feelings, a refusal to learn and grow, unrecognized potential. So yeah, we just really like that description in that book. Thank you, Witches Tarot. So now we are on to the Chakra Wisdom Tarot, which is the Fool was the root chakra red, and this one is yellow. No, I think it's orange actually. It's orange or yellow. I'm pretty sure it's orange, not yellow, because if the Fool's red, number 1 would be, no, orange comes second, so it is yellow. So 0 Fool red, 1 Magician orange, 2 High Priestess yellow. So yeah, this is yellow, and empowerment is yellow. The third solar plexus down by your rib cage. And that's the inside of the book, if you just want to have a little look. It's got little broken down into little sections. No picture. 2, the High Priestess. The Fool sees who she will become. The priestess is the every woman. She holds the secrets of feminine power and guards them with her instinct. Her mind is sharp, and she protects the tools that the fool must learn in order to survive. Will the priestess share her legacy? Third chakra message. The fool holds the image of what she seeks, though she does not yet know who or what she is looking for. As ideas start occurring to her, she wonders whether this is her brain talking or her intuition. Will she become the vision she seeks? Will you? Indication: thinking, critical thinking, teachable, gut instinct, and the ability to use it wisely must be embodied. Keywords: wisdom, mentor, reflection, understanding, discernment. Reversed: distrust, frivolity, superficiality, obsessive thinking, wait to begin anything new. Planet. Interesting, because the other ones say that it's the moon, don't they? Whereas this one says Mercury. Speaking, writing and consulting, the ability to sum up a situation or a person fairly quickly. A shrewd thinker and decision maker. The energy here is of a sharp mind. Insights into the correct action are possible now. Meditation. If you had an opportunity to learn from any mentor in the world, alive or in spirit, who would it be? Why? What can they tell you? What would you like to hear, share and learn? Meditate or journal to discover the instinctual pattern you are seeking to copy from your mentor. Ask them to join you and share their experience. Next steps. Having met the austere high priestess, the fool will now be welcomed into the loving embrace of the empress, who will support her in fully opening her heart chakra, showing her how to evoke the compassionate person she truly is. Whereas we're going to go to the magician next, so that won't actually be the case. And it's because if you work with, it's taking principles from the Fibonacci sequence, and how if you have something, to strengthen that something, you need to kind of go to the one underneath and give the one underneath energy, and then that will support that better. And then you take 2 steps up, because in the Fibonacci, if you take any number, if you go 2 to the right of any number in the Fibonacci sequence, it will give you that 0.3H2. It's kind of almost a third. And then if you think of the law of thirds with photography, so taking 2 numbers to the right, so if you're on the high priestess, if you go 2 to the right, it takes you up to number 4. Whereas if you go down and support the high priestess again's energy with the magician, and then take 2 to the right from the magician, it then brings you to the empress. So it's kind of that, we see it as that phrase of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's important to take that step back before you go on to your next 2 steps forward, because if you just keep going forward, you don't integrate. So if I put it in another form of the body, when you breathe, your rib cage expands outwards in all directions and upwards. Now, when you get the idea of breathing is to expand, but if you're constantly going back to the starting point, you're never expanding. You're just going out to, into, and you're stuck in this same rhythmic pattern. Whereas if you expand out to and just go back 1 with awareness on your breathing and don't let it go back all the way to the start, and then breathe out to again and back to 1, you're always expanding your comfort zone. And we need to not break our boundaries and not step over our comfort zone, because that causes dissonance, and it's us pushing ourselves too hard, and it will cause, there'll be, well, for us, we've done that our whole life, and it's been a mega downfall basically, because look where it left us for the last 4 years. But that's what needed to happen. for us to gain this experience, to then be able to share our experiences with the world of the impact of trauma on the body from a multitude of levels and diversities, and that's the autism and the DID. So it's also the same when we learn knowledge, and I learned this being in my yoga teacher training, or did I learn it in a yoga class? I'm not sure, I can't remember, it doesn't matter really. But we found it very hard because as we progressed and had been doing yoga for quite a while, a lot of the stuff that we'd learned we had to then let go of because it wasn't applicable anymore. And we really couldn't understand that because the younger alters take things literally and pedantically, and they're the ones that hold the power of the body. So they were the ones doing the yoga classes mostly and doing the yoga teacher training. And that's why they broke, because they couldn't handle the knowledge and the conscious academic stuff as much. There was too much information which they couldn't comprehend, which exploded them. And so it got perceived that we became more and more emotionally weak, but we weren't. We were incredibly emotionally strong, considering they just didn't understand, and I didn't understand to be able to explain it to them. So when we learn new information and knowledge, this is why it's important to get a good night's sleep, because it's like pruning your garden. You have all your neurons that you don't actually need pruned off, so that then the space created ready for the next day to learn more information. Whereas if you're not getting that good night's sleep, you're not having neurons pruned off that you don't need, and then there's too much information, and then it causes chaos in the brain. So yeah, before we went into the psych ward experience, basically we hadn't slept for like, oh goodness knows how long. I'd have to go back and check it, but you know, it was about a month or something, and we hadn't eaten or drunk really for about a week because it was physically too painful. So it's no wonder we got stuck in the in-between states of this consciousness, but that's what had to happen. And most of the time you'd send someone to hospital for that, but we couldn't communicate, and so it got perceived as a mental health issue. But it wasn't. But mental health and physical health is very closely interconnected. Anyway, this is the High Priestess from the Millennium Thoth Tarot. So we're going into mythology here a bit on their perspective. It's just a nice little book there, and they're wicked cards. I love the pictures in these cards. And again, there's really not too much information. Number 2, the High Priestess. Gimel, or Gimel, G-I-M-E-L. A dark-haired woman stands between two curtains. Her long locks provide modesty for her naked body. She wears a long white skirt. Veils drape from her hands. She stands posed as the goddess Isis. A horned crown sits on her head. It frames the moon. The planetary association for this card. An arrow and bow, shaped as an ibis, lays in her lap, connecting her to Artemis. We had a friends in New Zealand. They had their camper van, an old school Bedford bus, and that was called Artemis. And we thought it meant star, but not sure. A camel, symbolizing the Hebrew letter Gimel, stands in a desert oasis. Geometric shapes and crystals appear nearby. They represent various sacred geometry. That's why we love the pictures, because it's got all the sacred geometry in the background. Upright meanings. The universal keeper of secrets. Bridge the gap between what is known and unknown. Honor the divine feminine spirit. Reversed meanings. Remove yourself from natural cycles, doubting your capacity for greatness. Listen to the worth of others instead of trusting your gut. So just nice and quick and simple. So one last look. See all the sacred geometry lines? Now this is the opposite extreme, very simple, from the Mystic Mondays Tarot. It's another little book as well, but you've got a bit more content in these. You've got 2 pages dedicated normally to each one. Like that. So the High Priestess, moon, intuition, serenity, divine goddess. A mistress of the subconscious. The High Priestess asks you to listen to your inner voice. She combines serenity, inner knowing, and collective wisdom to guide you towards your intuition. Trust your gut and let it lead you to the right answers. Don't force control. Instead, let situations unfold as they are meant to be. At this time, pay special attention to your dreams, as they may carry subliminal messages that can help you in your waking hours. Looking inwards rather than outwards can provide you with the guidance that you seek. Your imagination is ripe with creativity and flow, free from logic and practicality. Embody the divine feminine that exists inside of you to connect back to the fertile life source in us all. Trust that your expanding intuition is guiding you to where you need to go. So we were just talking about sleep a minute ago and the neurons and pruning like a garden for healthy growth of the networks in the brain. And that takes place in your dreams. So psychic dreams come through with rapid eye movement, which happens like a small percentage of the night. But if you have a few cycles of this, then it happened 2 or 3 times. I think the cycle's like about 4 hours, so it happened twice if you get like the 8 hours sleep. You've then got your non-eye rapid movement, non-rapid eye movement, and that's where you have your normal dreams. And the normal dreams, there's a time where your brain is processing situations throughout the day, week, whatever, just anything that's still inside of you that hasn't been processed, where you may have perceived, or anyone, where we may have perceived it incorrectly. So therefore, the dream puts another situation in play where we get to see it from a different perspective, perceive it differently, and therefore understanding the situation better. So to give a quick example, it might be that you're tired, you're not sleeping properly, so therefore you're not eating properly, you're feeling run down, you feel like you're about to get ill, and at work it feels like everyone's gone quiet on you, and you've actually forgotten that actually in a few weeks it's your birthday, because you generally don't like your birthday, so you tend to forget about them or try to ignore them as much as possible. And when you're going into work, suddenly there's all this whispering and hush-hushness and everything, and you're taking it personally, thinking it's to do with you, and people aren't are bitching about you or talking behind your back, basically, when actually they're not. And it turns out they've got a birthday card and a surprise present that they're organising and collecting money for and writing in the card, and that's what all the secrecy is about. So we would never really know what's going on in a situation, and it's always good to give it the benefit of the doubt, not for anyone else, but just for one's own sanity and peace of mind more than anything, because otherwise it just goes round and round the head. And that's where the dreams come into play, to give that other perspective when we aren't able to do it for ourselves in waking life. In this beautiful mind and brain of ours, though, we're not able to do it in sleeping life either. I thought we didn't remember dreams because of the smoking weed and what have you, and I can't really remember much when I was little. We used to sleep in all kinds of random places, but I think that's the EDS and the body, the boundaries of the body from the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But we used to sleep in the bed, not in the bed, in the bath, put a towel in the bath and then sleep in that. And in our captain's bunk, underneath the desk at the back, there'd be a really narrow area, and we'd go underneath and we'd sleep in that really narrow area, because I think the EDS basically is you don't have the proprioception of the body. And also autism as well. I know there's a lady I watched on that where she discovered she liked going into the cattle grids and being squeezed, because it's really hard to have human contact, but you do want contact, so it kind of gives you that pressure and that contact without the chaos of the energy of the other person. So yeah, not everyone's able to do it in their sleep, and therefore we have to find other ways, and that's what also part of our journey and experience of what happened, is the beautiful subconscious mind and the collective energies found another way for us to be able to process this by being stuck in the in-between states of consciousness, waking life and sleeping life. So the opposite, or the imbalance: reconnect, neglect, secrets. Imbalance in the masculine and feminine essence of your soul is causing you to second guess yourself and your decisions. This disconnect between you and your inner voice brings perpetual distractions, a constant buzz that is numbing your intuitive powers. Take time to be still with yourself so that you can get in tune with your innate wisdom. She is attempting to talk to you, but you are straight up ignoring her with excuses or being too busy. Looking towards external sources for your answers will only circle you back to where you started. The High Priestess reversed is a sign to get in touch with your higher self. Make space to enjoy yourself by doing absolutely nothing. You deserve it. The intuition that you innately possess will give you all the answers that you need, but only if you allow it to. So for us, it always says about get in touch with your higher self, get in touch with your higher self. But for us, we think of it, and she talked about subconscious. The subconscious is like the iceberg. Your conscious mind's the tip of the iceberg that you can see, and the subconscious is the bit you can't see. And so for us, it's about getting in touch with our lower selves and the subconscious mind and understanding that a bit more. So understanding language and words and communication and relation to people, I can imagine it's challenging for a lot of people, because I know I can't be the only person with this, but I know that it's not a common thing, but maybe it's more common than one knows. The next one, Tower of Dreams. I love the pictures and colours on this as well. Tower of Dreams. And that's the guidebook. And this, again, this is another quite good layout in the book, and it's got the Hebrew letters, a bit of astrology. So there's the Hebrew letters and astrology, and then the information. So the and they call it the Priestess, not the High Priestess. So I like that. It's taking out the high and low bit, isn't it? Intuitive insight, reconciling of opposites, an indirect approach, withdrawal from everyday activities. Under a hazy night sky, the priestess sits in her temple, drawing down some mysterious force from the moon. As he watches her, the fool can see the moonlight literally descending upon her, and stars, suns, and moons nestle in her hair. Her moon-shaped headgear provides a powerful sympathetic magic. We all know that there is more to ourselves than our conscious minds can perceive. When we find ourselves making an unexpected emotional outburst, or when an image that we come across seems to speak to us in startling ways, as tarot cards can do, then we know that there are currents beneath the surface of our conscious mind, but the structure of our minds prevents us from apprehending these currents directly. How can we ever hope to see what we are incapable of seeing? The answer is the priestess. She allows communication to travel back and forth between the conscious and unconscious worlds, and she maintains the integrity of both worlds by sharply limiting and filtering that communication. This is why the material we receive from our subconscious speaks in riddles, dreams, and metaphors, and all present tense, past and future doesn't exist for the subconscious either. The two pillars on the card represent duality, as do the different coloured spheres atop the pillars. Duality is the way our conscious minds are structured, and how our minds in turn structure our perceptions. From the time we are born, we learn to categorize everything we perceive, good or bad, pleasurable or painful, light or dark. Later in life, the categories grow more sophisticated, but the dualities remain, responsible or carefree, well or ill-intentioned, passive or aggressive. These distinctions made it possible for us to live in and make our way in this world. But they are a hindrance if we want to navigate our way through the subconscious, whose nature reflects the primordial, murky waters of oneness rather than the sharply delineated opposites of everyday waking life. The priestess's eyes are closed, shutting herself off from the sensory input that threatens to seduce her back into the conscious world. She has her back to the pillars, indicating that she has gone beyond the dualities. She has stepped through them as if they were merely a doorway to different kinds of perception. Significantly, she holds her intricate lens so that it frames her heart chakra. The heart chakra reconciles opposites, bringing them together into an organic whole and healing the rift between them. Thus, we experience the priestess's energy as a calming one. The night and the moon on this card symbolize the uncertainty and uneasiness that our conscious minds feel when faced with evidence of the existence of the subconscious. In order to enter the waters of the subconscious, the priestess, or that part of our mind which she represents. See, I like those little bits of explanations. You know, they're just really good when they put those bits in brackets. Must embrace the symbols of night and moon. Then, when she has relaxed and allowed subconscious material to permeate her being, she will turn to us and hold up her magic lens through which we can catch a few hints of intuitive insight. Hebrew letter. It's kind of like an upside down Y. Gimel means camel. A camel is used to cross desert regions in the same way that the priestess helps us across the gulf between the conscious and the subconscious. We've ridden a camel. Not very well though, it hurt. We walked a lot. It means luck. Elephants wise? Horses are power, elephants like wisdom, and camels are luck, I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong. Astrology, the moon, is the planet of the subconscious mind. So that's that one. Oh, we're on to one of our real favourites now. These are the ones that we're putting out for the every 2 or 3 days when the moon transits into a new sign. This is the ones that we're putting out for them. The maiden. Now, I don't know, well, yeah, in the other book it did say about the maiden, because I wasn't sure if the maiden actually represented the high priestess or not, because this one like has added in quite a few extra ones. There's something like 24 in this. Excuse the alarm. So yeah, there's something like 24 in this one, so I wasn't sure if it was actually the right representation, but we decided to go by the numbers, because for us numbers come before words and language. So we've got 1, the Ace of Earth there. Yeah, 24, Faith is the last one in this. So there's like 22, 23, 24. There's 3 extra cards in this to the general tarot, traditional tarot. But that's where traditional is changing into modern, because consciousness is evolving and involving. Evolving is the external of consciousness and the collective consciousness and our conscious mind and the collective agreement of what reality is, and the internal, I don't know what we're talking about now. When you close your eyes, we've obviously shifted. When you close your eyes, you go into your internal world. When you open your eyes, you're in your external world. So there's lots of information in that, but we don't talk anymore. Yeah, we've had a shift, haven't we? Okay, the maiden. Key words: fertility, independence, self-esteem, confidence, self-expression, self-exploration, self-interest, sexuality, creativity, selfishness, codependence, and timidity. This is interesting because it's talking about a lot of second chakra words there, whereas it was the 3rd chakra in that chakra pack. But this is where the overlaps and the connections and the perspectives come into play, and how different people see things and perceive things and experience things differently. But it doesn't mean there's any wrong or right, because there is no wrong or right. It's just one and an experience from a perception of one's internal world being expressed to the best of their capability into their conscious external world. That's why language and words and listening and communication and relating are so important. And when it comes down to maths, the world actually doesn't do maths. The world does ratios, and it's the dynamics and relationships between things. We love that. Key phrases. Follow your dreams. Discover, right, we've gone younger because we started talking about that. That makes sense. Discover your passions. Focus on self-discovery. Address self-imposed limits and restrictions. Increased independence. Seek your own answers. Release feelings of fear and abandonment. Yeah, we've definitely gone younger, but we're managing the reactions a lot better. Making the shush sound is the Chinese medicine sound to access your liver and to cleanse and purify your liver. So your liver detoxifies your body, and it's what holds all the emotions of anger and resentment and fear, and the balancing emotions of forgiveness and generosity. We've got abandonment issues, so that's where we reacted to that one. Craving attention, needing rescue, Express goals and desires. Be true to self, acting with empathy. Meaning, the maiden walks an unfamiliar path, but does so with confidence and grace. She has been taught by those around her that it is not selfish or conceited to follow her dreams and actively work to manifest her goals and desires. She does so without needing permission from anyone. Much like her male counterpart, the youth, the modern maiden is not afraid to ask questions, challenge the answers, and be the adventurous explorer. But while the youth explores new horizons, the maiden explores herself. The maiden is equally interested in first discovering and then nurturing her interests and increasing her self-knowledge and exploring her waking sexuality. She forms relationships with healthy boundaries and expresses her sexuality with innocent pride and confidence. When she chooses to take a lover for the first time, it will be done without shame or fear of judgment. If she chooses to remain alone, it is not because she believes herself to be undesirable, but because she does not believe that she needs a lover in order to be happy or fulfilled. The maiden card is one of youthful confidence, empowerment, and increasing independence. She is fertile, but uses that fertile nature to create, express, and explore. She is on a journey of self-discovery, focused on learning more about who she is and what makes her happy, and she knows that her explorations in the present will give rise to a future self who knows what she wants from life and is not afraid to make it happen. In the past, the maiden was expected to do as she was told and be true to the expectations of family and society. Look where that got us. In the present, the maiden chooses to begin the journey towards self-awareness and empowerment. The past. The maiden, when appearing in the past position, has a traditional meaning and is a combination of the child and maiden. How the maiden perceives the world and herself is influenced and shaped by the experiences of the child that she was, and her transition from childhood to early womanhood. She is at her most vulnerable during this transition, for it is between childhood and adulthood that the seeds of self-esteem take firm root, grow, and blossom. We're just laughing because that's what we're going through now at 40. Definitely don't do things in the conventional way, do we? If the child has been treated in a harsh manner, we call it generational consciousness for the younger alternate personalities, and the generational consciousness for the young alternate personalities has grown up heaps. I mean, there's ones that didn't even talk that now speak that, what they call light language, speaking through the senses without words. So yeah, it's massive. So fascinating. It's so hard to go through, but so fascinating. But then, yeah. If the child has been treated in a harsh manner or has been neglected, the maiden may feel lost and alone, unsure and uncertain, with no real sense of belonging and security. If she has faced ridicule and scorn, she may become timid and meek, afraid to speak or act independently, lest her actions give rise to anger in those around her. She may be overly dependent on others for guidance, validation, acceptance, and protection, and yet, paradoxically, simultaneously be afraid to trust those very same people. She may also feel compelled to use her body and blossoming sexuality to draw forth the love, affection, and attention she craves. Just as the bud of a flower can be harmed by frost or fail to thrive in unfavourable conditions, the maiden can also be harmed by neglect or by harsh words, ridicule and mockery. The damage can be even greater if those words and deeds issue from someone who she trusts and loves. The damage can be even greater if those words and deeds issue from someone she trusts and loves. Feelings of betrayal and abandonment can leave permanent psychological scars that influence her future choices. If the child who grows to become the maiden has been wounded, Quite long. Seeds of doubt and insecurity, low self-esteem and self-worth may take root. Over time, those seeds grow and give rise to a self-limiting and restricting mindset, and patterns of behaviour develop that can have a destructive influence from inception until death. Conversely, the child who is nurtured and loved may grow to be the confident and sure-footed maiden. Her sense of self is positive and affirming, and so she moves out into the world with a carefree step, more inclined to seek out and follow her own path, instead of being directed or shepherded by another. Do you hesitate to speak your truth for fear you'll be laughed at? Do you find yourself in constant need of approval? Are you unable to trust both in yourself and others? Are you dreaming of rescue, that someone will suddenly appear and change your circumstances? It is the innocent, yet self-aware and confident maiden who walks the path before her without fear. When she appears in your reading, she, like the child, asks that you release those feelings that limit and restrict, especially those born of the unkind words and actions of others. Stand tall. Devote time to the experiences in life that bring you deep personal pleasure and satisfaction. Do so knowing that your path and those activities to which you devote your time and interest are not for others to determine, question, or judge. Do not allow a fear of being rejected prevent you from knowing and being true to yourself. The present. The maiden, young, beautiful and pure, represents the arrival of spring, a time of transition and change. She is symbolic of a moment that is bright with new promise. It is a fertile moment, one that may bring both abundance and independence. Now is the time to embrace growth with excitement and anticipation. However, just as late frost can lay waste to new growth, ridicule and unkind words from others can give rise to doubts and questions that can, in turn, result in self-sabotaging behaviour. Be strong and firm. If there is need, take steps to protect and nurture all that is new and vulnerable in you from those who seek to limit and restrict your growth. It is time to put your interests first, to walk your own path, and to sow the ideas that have been germinating within. Express yourself. That's why it's the Mercury planet, isn't it? Mercury and the moon. Let that which has laid dormant awaken and come to life. The future. The maiden, as illustrated in this deck, is the epitome of self-exploration and the independence and empowerment that is born of self-awareness. To know who you are is to know what you wish to do with your life. To know who you are is to know what will fulfill you and, in turn, bring abundance to your life. Do you know what you want from life? We never. Do you know your goals and desires? If not, it is time to look within and reflect. Do you know how to express those goals and desires and what steps you need to take in order to manifest them? We do now. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Well done. If not, it is time to find your voice and speak. Need of much. That's why this book's really good. It really, really speaks to us. Takes a lot of energy to be all in agreement and not butt in and speak out, doesn't it? Yeah, you do more. Yeah, you get excited, don't you? Okay. Seek the answers. Do not wait for others to offer them to you or impose them upon you. Be proactive. Ask. Take the first steps towards becoming the person you want to be, and do so knowing that the only obstacles in your path are those you have created or allowed to prevent you from moving forward. And it may not be a conscious thing that's happened there, it may be subconscious, so don't blame fault. There's no fault or blame, there's just the experience of what's happened. And when new knowledge comes in, it's about applying that new knowledge, but not judging or blaming or anything. But we may need to judge and blame and do all those emotions and feelings to progress to Jupiter time expansion. We may need to go through all those emotions as those emotions get detoxed. But as long as we keep reminding ourselves that we're feeling those feelings and it's okay to feel those feelings, but that we are going to progress past those feelings. That's what we've been doing. The child was the seed, and the maiden is the young plant about to bloom. How she blooms is up to you. Potential blockage. The reversed maiden asks you to look at your dreams and aspirations. Are you acting from a place of genuine love and desire to improve yourself? Or are you resisting because you want things to go your way without a care for others? When we choose to follow our own path, it is not always possible to avoid hurting or saying no to those we care for. However, we can say no with mindfulness, empathy, and understanding. Be firm, but kind. Be clear when expressing your desires and goals. Take into account the needs and feelings of others and avoid behaviour that makes you appear childish or selfish. This behaviour will not help others to understand your decisions or respect your choice to walk your own path. Well, that was very powerful indeed. Well, we're getting on to one of our other favourite ones now. This isn't quite so long. This is the Star Tarot. So this is the tarot deck that we're actually reading out all the way through on our other channel, Neve Deborah Snowflake Coleman. So we're reading this whole pack out. So if you're interested in buying a tarot pack, I don't know, the plan is, but the plans always seem to change, but I don't think this one will because we've stuck to it, that is that we're going to read out as many as possible. So there'll be a library of tarot packs and tarot cards so you can actually know what the information that it's giving is like and whether it's suited to you or not. We've got through quite a bit of that one as well. We do all the numbers, we do the numbers together because that actually does it in numbers. A lot of packs do it from suits, going 1 to 10 in the suits, whereas that one does all the number ones, all the number twos, all the number threes, the ones are aces, I know, and puts them all together, and we really like that. So I think that's why we started with that one first. Plus we're a double star, sun and moon star, and this is the picture. So you can always pause it if you want to look at it longer. I know the quality's not the best, but it's the best we can do at the moment. The High Priestess, the goddess of the crescent moon. The High Priestess is the maiden goddess in the cycles of the moon, the first aspect, phase of the triple goddess. She has a silent, mysterious power that can look into one's soul. The priestess has deep wisdom and intuition. She contains all knowledge, but at a level that can only be expressed in symbols. This is often referred to as the psychic card. She is the feminine principle that balances the masculine principle of the magician. The High Priestess's number is 2, symbolizing balance and choices. The High Priestess can pass back and forth through the veil behind her, represented by the spider's web. The veil is the passage between the conscious and the unconscious realms. The High Priestess guards it well. The High Priestess helps us clarify our purpose and our potentials. As you peel back the layers of your personal veil, you move deeper into your inner self, discovering your connection to the realm of spirit and soul memory. The High Priestess watches over the hidden knowledge, dreams, and what is beyond the seemingly obvious. She is the portal or channel for universal mysteries that lay hidden behind the veil. The High Priestess is the link between the seen and the unseen. She balances the polarities of the masculine, feminine, the light, dark, spirit, matter, tapping into intuition and inherent knowledge. The High Priestess keeps these dualities in balance, understanding the continuous cycling and rebalancing of life forces and experiences. One of the priestess's virtues is patience. She does not push. She waits in the stillness of silence, listening for the whisper of the divine. With the High Priestess, you realize all answers lie within you. She says, take time to meditate. Dive deep into the stillness of your own soul, self. Listen. Listen's an anagram of silent too. Haha. The High Priestess holds the key, the star, to the Akashic Records, universal knowledge. She has the gift of knowing how to channel into the collective memory of the past, present, and future. Because that only exists in our 3D dimension of this reality, because that's a construct of time which doesn't exist elsewhere, which is very hard to get one's heads around initially. It took us years. I mean, I think it was Men in Black 3 where we understood the concept of time not existing. She has the gift of knowing how to channel into the collective memory of the past, present, and future that guides you to resolve blocks and disturb your inner peace and balance. The star she holds contains the universal secrets, answers, and mysteries that are available to you through prayer, meditation, dreams, and communion with nature and the higher self. Her message is to trust your inner self and intuition. She represents the beginning of creative cycle. The priestess signals a time of going within, experiencing your dark, mysterious self, balancing that experience with your conscious self. Understanding and honouring both realms can unveil the portal to the inner oasis of your soul. Symbolism in the High Priestess image. The waxing moon above the dark pillar, the first aspect of the moon's continuous cycle. On her right represents the time for planting seeds, intentions, and ideas. The full moon above, the High Priestess represents illumination, harvest, the fullness of life, the open flower. The waning crescent moon to her left represents death, moving into rebirth, bringing lessons, awakening, and healing from the process of passing through all the phases of the cycling moon. The two pillars symbolise the dualities of the physical, of the physical spiritual life, masculine, feminine self, and negative, positive energies. The black pillar symbolises understanding, the pillar of severity. I'm not sure if that's meant to be sovereignty or not. The white pillar represents wisdom, the pillar of mercy. The High Priestess represents the central pillar of mildness. The spider's web represents the veil between the conscious and the subconscious. It symbolises creativity and all the possibilities in life, but also it is there to make us aware that we can get trapped in the veil if we pass through it without the proper knowledge and preparedness. The High Priestess holds a star in her hands, symbolising her ability to access the Akashic Records, the universal knowledge. The star in her crown symbolises the sixth chakra. The third eye is associated with the High Priestess, symbolising great insight. Her dress is made up of a pattern of crosses, descent of spirit into matter and matter into spirit, the balance of male and female energies, and the balance of four directions of spirit, emotions, mind, and body. And spirals, spiral of life and the universe and its creative forces. That's the Fibonacci sequence. Her dress flows into the pool of subconsciousness that reflects one back to the self. In the pool, the blue colour and the stars represent the deep knowledge and creativity that is constant in our universe. The planet associated with the priestess is the moon, intuition, cycles, and mysteries. There we go. We're on the last one. And the last one is the Inner Child cards, a fairy tale tarot. We didn't have these when we did the first one that we did with the full card. These arrived afterwards, so that's why there was only 8 perspectives on the first one. Plus 8 was the fitting number for us. And this is what we're doing to heal ourselves. This is part of these are the tools that we use for self-awareness and healing ourselves. So we've been doing a 44-day online meditation. We've done 2 now, and they've both ended. The first was Soul Shine, and the second was Sacred Connection. So So after the first one ended, we then did it forwards in the evening and backwards in the morning of our own self-discipline. So that's what we're doing with the sacred connections, because that ended on Wednesday. But we've then started on the Thursday, when we started doing this one backwards in the morning and forwards in the evening at night before bed. During the day, we've actually finally started journaling and doing it online with the soul shine, so that we do each one 4 times. And then when we finish doing this one forwards and backwards, the soul shine one will finish doing it journaling online, and we'll start journaling this one online. So there'll be like, we're constantly meditating and got these systems, but we've got different types of meditation as well. So we, for instance, we'll do that after we finish reading this, because there'll be a lot of new information to take on board, and then we'll have an Epsom salt bath, where there's a lot of embodiment and purification and cleansing and integration that takes place when we do our breath work, and the mind processes a lot of stuff in a way that I can't really go into now. So this is the inner child card, a fairy tale tarot. The fairy godmother. And I've got the workbook to go with this as well. So you've got the book that I showed you, and then you've got the inner child cards workbook. And I'm going to read both sections, because it's to show you not just the different perspectives from different tarot people that have made their own tarot decks, but also to show you how this can facilitate in your own healing of trauma through the mind, of like psychotherapy, but without having to be not having to do it in the conventional way from the left brain, doing it from the right brain in a creative way. I'm just going to read the full. I don't have, no, we won't. We're going to stay on 2. I was going to read the full because we didn't do it last time, but we're being said not to. So, the High Priestess, which in here is called the Fairy Godmother. What the High Priestess was to the traditional tarot, the Fairy Godmother is to inner child cards. While not the main character in the original Grimm brothers, Cinderella, the Fairy Godmother has played a big part in shaping our inner awareness of magical helpers due to the Walt Disney adaptation of the story. In several folk ballads, the Fairy Queen is addressed as Queen of Heaven. Welsh fairies were known as the Mothers or the Mother's Blessing. Peasants called the fairies godmothers or good ladies. They claimed a fairy could transform a human into an animal or stone and back again. In Cinderella, this is the kind of enchantment that took place. The animals were turned into human helpers until the enchantment spell broke at midnight. In the original Cinderella, the hazelnut tree, which bloomed from a branch on Cinderella's true mother's grave, is the reborn mother or magical helper to Cinderella. The legend of the hazel branch, according to the brothers Grimm, tells how the Mother of God goes to look for strawberries in the woods to feed the Christ child. As she bends down, a viper springs out of the grass. The Mother of God flees to a hazelnut tree and hides behind it. The viper creeps away. Since then, hazel branches have been a protection against dangerous creatures. The hazelnut tree stands for the most basic life force that cannot be destroyed. This is the force of protection that can be planted and rooted in every human soul. We have our High Priestess or Fairy Godmother within us. Where we honour her is in the deepest places of our psyche. She grows into our wisdom as we gain faith in the spirit of our eternal and undeniable protection in the universe. In the ancient tarot, the High Priestess is the mystery teacher, the papess who holds the key to the gates of our inner sanctuary. Our innate wisdom, intuition, and prayerful reverence for all life. In ancient Egypt, she was known as Isis, and was connected strongly with the rhythms and cycles of the moon. So this has combined the millennium fourth. So we've got a good variety here, actually. It's really interesting. The fairy godmother, then, yes, you get us if you've watched it all. The fairy godmother is an enchantress, a holy sacred mother of the ancient mysteries. She ushers in what we think we do not know or cannot have or dare not express. She offers our innate wisdom to believe in, be it miracles or magic or a divine intelligence. She offers us gifts of the spirit, the gifts of inner guidance and universal love. When this card appears in your reading, your higher mind knows the answers. Listen to your intuition. Cultivate your faith. The number 2 is a balance between the spiritual and physical realms. It is also a balance between the inward way and the external path. 2 is an emotional number and deeply sensitive. 2 prominent fairy godmothers in The Wizard of Oz and Cinderella come in times of need, times of crisis. The fairy godmother reminds you of the journey ahead and the need to persevere to accomplish soul work. Note, there is an intimate and important link between the fairy godmother card number 2 and the Cinderella card number 18. And that's the moon card, actually, number 18. They are not only part of the same story. The Cinderella card was also traditionally called the moon, and the moon is the planetary body associated with the fairy godmother card. Traditional tarot archetype, the high priestess, planetary ruler, the moon, or Mercury, as we discovered in another pack. So the Inner Child Cards Workbook. Two, Fairy Godmother, the High Priestess. Little tame doves, the little turtle doves, and all the birds of heaven, come and help me pick up the seeds. Cinderella, Grimm's Fairy Tales, 1891. Traditional meaning. The High Priestess is the fertile, receptive, and intuitive force of the divine feminine. She waters the soul with her cosmic attunement and insight, always open to receiving the powers of vision and higher truth. The High Priestess is representative of the balance of creation, for it is with her all-seeing eye and insight that we, on the royal road to wisdom, will find our truest spiritual gifts. She embodies divine love and helps us to foster the qualities that will nurture this within our own life. Keywords: reflection, visualization, intuition, weaving the mysteries of nature with her magical visions. Fairy tale lore. In Inner Child cards, the High Priestess is the fairy godmother. In the original version of Cinderella, the fairy godmother is presented by the heavenly birds that live in Cinderella's tree of life. These beautiful helpers have come to assist Cinderella in her greatest time of need. They offer her faith and hope, for they are the sweet reward that comes to her after her trials of suffering and service. She does not complain, but she knows there is a goal of empowerment that she will move towards. The fairy godmother comes alive as a force, as the principle of universal love that will shower Cinderella with new vision and opportunity. The force of that principle is alive within the young child, for her tears have become the deep work of her soul that will eventually prepare her to manifest her dreams. Questions. Am I able to hear the messages of my heart? If I took time each day to water my own garden of spiritual destiny, what would I love to do the most? What are the visions in my life that I must focus on in order that my creations come to full fruition? Affirmations. I am protected by the love of the Divine Mother that overlights me each and every day. I listen to my heart's desires, for these are the messages of divine purpose and creativity. The heavens above shine down the beauty of my highest potentials. So that was the Fairy Godmother, the Inner Child cards, the Fairy Tale Tarot of the High Priestess. Just going to do 3 ohms now. That was the using mouth yoga, moving the tongue around in the mouth, and sounding, and face yoga when you widen your face and stuff, to clear anything that needs clearing in the body and to integrate. So now I'm going to do 3 ohms backwards and then forwards, so feel free to join in if you so choose to wish. And you'll have, if you have been brought to this, there's constant meditation and healing going on, so remember to nurture yourself, drink water, rest if your body's telling you to rest, because this is how the game of life works. Namaste.